What's up, George? What's going on in the House of Craze tonight?
In the House of Craze tonight, we are going to have Mr. John Hervey from Beyond Time Comics, and we're going to be talking about the Homage cover on Get Your Meds.
The Homage cover. That sounds retro. Let's get it!
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Catch the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the dream of Medina and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your meds, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we never miss a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the Craze. If you are an independent, catch the Craze. Making moves on your own, catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the Craze. Join the movement, catch the Craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze. Welcome to Catch the Craze podcast. I am your host with the most, the Crazy Man Fair, and I am with
George, the dreamer of Dina. What's happening? Yeah.
Remember that? What up, George?
No.
Yeah, it was
Not
funny.
much, man.
I was watching the intro, which is fire, fuego, our intro, and I realized that the first comeback studio was in that intro.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not even the new. That was there was three. This is the third setup since in 2 years.
Jesus
In
Christ.
two years,
Welcome,
bro.
everyone, to another episode of Catch the Craze. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. Please
Yes.
like. Please comment.
Yes.
Below, we are about to give you another show, and it's going to feature another independent comic book artist.
Yes.
As you probably already knew.
Yes,
And,
John
We're
Hervey.
going to talk and get your meds.
Yes.
We're going to be doing a little indie news. I don't know if we have any
Oh
to share today.
shit. Topics.
Being September 17th. What's going on September 17th?
What's going on? What's going on? September
What is
17th?
happening? Let's see. I'm wondering if we're
Wondering.
still going live with
If this
Really?
love we have is true, and I'm wondering, was it me or you? Wondering, where did it go wrong? And I'm wondering why it happened so long. Here comes the DJ
Oh, no.
mix. Look into
would
the
have ended last
moonlight,
week.
baby, and what do I see? Remember that? You remember
It
those?
would have ended last week. I don't. What was that? Was that?
You
was
remember
that
house
freestyle? What was
music, club music back in the days?
that? Oh, that was house.
Club
Nah,
music.
I was more to freestyle, bro. I
Yeah,
was more to
freestyle, same thing,
House.
same thing. Yeah, Koro and Asia and
Yeah, but
TKA.
you call that house?
They call it whatever, club music. Yeah, freestyle, club music. You know, the weekend mixes with the DJs. He used to mix all the different joints.
Yeah.
You go. He
No,
went
I didn't
from
know that.
like Koro into was it Brenda K. Star. He would mix you know, remember the weekend mixes? Everyone used to get their tape recorders and record.
That was a throwback. I was recording Hot 97 though, like at the time, 97.1. Z100 was also being recorded at the time.
100. Yeah, you actually used to.
Empire State Building.
Remember what's her name? All right, so everybody who was in love and got their hearts broken, there was that one woman that used to do dedications.
I
And she's,
think she's still on. Delilah?
yes, yeah, Delilah, yo, I don't. How many people called Delilah and put their sob stories out there? I really loved her. Why doesn't she call me back, Delilah? And she was like,
Yes,
she was like, what song do you want to dedicate? I want to dedicate all my love.
And then you tell your whole sob story about what
The
happened.
whole stop story. Oh my God!
was great.
Like, hey there,
It was great.
Delilah. What's it like in New York City? I am miles and miles away, but tonight you look so pretty. Yes, you do.
Yes, back in the days.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
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 Reminiscing.
We used to. I mean, every single brother was out there when they got their heart broken, listening to Delilah. I wonder what Margaret's
I can't
doing.
believe she's still on, bro.
Yes.
Delilah is still on.
Oh, that was awesome.
Oh, that is great. That is great. Anyway, what the heck were we talking about? Oh yeah, no, I thought that Forbidden was still going to be on, but Forbidden has ended. It would have ended last week.
Yes.
So no Forbidden for you.
No forbidden for me.
But it is September 17th, and next, what is this? September. So October. What do we have happening in October? Do we go into indie news or what? Wow, look at you. What did that say on that mug?
It says, can you see it says, working hard so my dog can have a better life.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Hear you.
Not for me. I work for my dog.
I work for dog.
Take a bite out of crime.
Oh shoot. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, indie news. What you got?
Indie news. Do we even have indie
Sounder?
news?
You tired it?
No. Tops in the Bronx. Tops in the Bronx. In other news.
Tops in the Bronx.
Remember that?
Crazy Eddie.
Yes.
All that.
Bingasaki. Remember that?
In the boogie down. Oh man. All right. What's going on in indie news? All right, indie news.
What's going on in indie news? No conventions for me this year.
I'll start off by telling everybody that Russ 5377 is on Webtoon right now.
How is that doing?
Go subscribe. It's doing. It could be doing better. But that's why I need everybody who's watching right now to go to Webtoon and subscribe to the comic. Check it out, read it, see what happens. Next, on the next episode will be launching in November. So I'm stretching those bad boys out. So please go there and check that out.
Episode is a page?
No, a whole book.
You're doing a whole book a month?
No, not a month. The first one came out in August. The next one won't come out till November. So there's a big
period
of time.
Like it's almost like you're doing it quarters but differently.
Yes, because it started in August.
Right, okay.
But yeah, so it's quarterly. So go check that out. And then if you
Any reason why you went that route versus doing the dailies?
The dailies, like what? Like every day post something?
Yeah.
I don't have enough content.
No, instead of because what I noticed is this is a great, subject because I'm learning about this. Because eventually Designating My Toilet will join the ranks of the webtoons. But some people, what they do is they take a panel with dialogue, and that's just the panel is a daily, not the whole page.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And
So,
any reason why you didn't go that route and you decided to just go the whole book?
Here's the thing. I think that with something like webtoons, right? Mm-hmm. I think that is it's a test for me. Okay. I think personally being in it now, I think it works best. And if you guys are watching and you guys can give us a little feedback on this, I think it works best as an artist. The reason I say that is because you can constantly keep putting new content up. And if you wanted to draw a panel a day or a week or something like that, you could, because you can stretch it out. So you can finish a whole, book or whatever, and then you could just put up, a panel every day or a panel every week or something like that. And that could be how you release it, and knowing that you are going to continue to put more stuff out there because you're drawing as you go along, and you're just going to be feeding the beast. For me as a writer who already has a book out, I felt like, let me try this quarterly. All right, I'm going to put up the whole book up there so you can enjoy the entire book. You can just scroll up and read it, and then come back in 3 months and read the next one. Now, the other reason why I didn't slice it up is because of the way the book is drawn. It doesn't lend itself to being able to cut a section of the panels or the page, because they bleed into each other. So now you'd be getting cut off.
Any reason why you didn't do a page a day or like a page every other day?
Well, it was going to be the same. See, to me, which is the reason why I did it a full book and then three months, because I think that if I did do it the way you're saying, it would probably going to end up the same way.
Right.
which, hey, listen, which again, everything is a test. That may actually also work because what I'm doing is I am now not a forgotten person who I read the book, I'm done, I'm gone.
Right.
I should come back next week for the next page. So that may be happening for the next chapter. So yeah, no, that's
Yeah, because that was my fear when I heard you say that you put it up. I was like, you know what? We're dealing with a finicky audience, fickle. There you go, the fickle audience where attention span, if it's not there, I'm moving on. And so the fear is, I read the whole thing. I gotta wait for 3 months. Okay, maybe I'll come back. Maybe I won't. Boom, and I'm reading other things. I think, something because you have a database, and so a page a week or a page every 3 days or whatever it is to build up those 3 months. And now you have an audience. So you got 24 pages. So 24 pages. You got what? 90 days. So so every 3 days.
So you're looking for realistically, you're looking at 144 pages of story, right? If you break up 144 pages, I can take the weekends off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And drop a book every day. I mean, drop a page every day. Take the weekends off and stretch that out. Maybe make that 8 months of the year you're reading this until the next thing comes up. So yeah, there's different ways to do it. And again, it's all a learning process, which I think is the only way you're gonna learn is if you do it.
Right. Just like with crowdfunding, same thing.
Make the mistake.
Yeah.
Let's find out what happens. How do I fix that? So I've had 3 months to fix it. So maybe in November you will be getting a page a day. You know what I mean? And then that way we'll build. At this point, what I do like about Webtoons is that I have the app on my phone. I get an alert every single time somebody I'm following has put something new up there.
Right.
So it forces you to go in there and see what the next thing is. You know what I mean? So,
nice.
We shall see. But yeah, so that's on there now. So if you guys go to Webtoons and type in Russ 5377, the first chapter is in there, second chapter, or the first page of the second chapter is coming in November. So see what happens. Check it out as we're building.
So your first book that you put in there was the whole graphic novel?
No. The first chapter.
Which is issue 1.
Issue 1.
Okay. All right. I was like,
first 20,
I said, what is you, local?
Pages. All right, cool. Yeah, 24 pages. So it's one big quick read. Bang, done.
Yeah.
And now you wait. So, and like you said, maybe the waiting game is too long for somebody. And yeah, fickle, but also they don't know who you are.
Yeah. That's the fear that I have with the crazies going into 2022. That's why I want to start doing promos for the crazies in the fall to remind them and get that, because as soon as Forbidden ends December 1st, mid-December, I want to launch the landing page for the crazies. So this way, because people forget, and even though this version, this is going to be the graphic novel for the crazies, is going to be hot, and issue 4 is going to be, the summer edition, so it's going to be even hotter. Fuego! There's a fear factor involved where people move on fast, and they don't, it's just like that's why Marvel's producing so much content is because, all right, I got this, I absorbed this, what's next? I got this, what's next? You know what I mean? It's like, boom, it's you talk about it for a minute and it's gone, that's why I like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones was an event. It was you were, everybody talked about it for those 6 days leading up to that 7th day when it was going to go on again. So it was constant, and it was talked about for 2 years after it ended. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the reasons why it was talked about is sad because it was talked about because it sucked. You know what I mean?
The ending sucked.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The ending. Yeah, it's talked about. Not that it wasn't going to be talked about. I'm just saying it was spoken. Like the way you talk about it today is like with disappointment because it was so good. The first few seasons was so good, and now it's it's just disappointing. But going back to the crazies, it's funny because I had the guys over at the Nerds of the Round are doing a creator series, and I was on their show. We did an interview. Check it out. Nerds of the Round is up right now. But we talked about the crazy, and the guys were like, "Yeah, at this point, they're gonna be like in issue number 10 by the time this airs." Because I recorded that way back, and I think March,
right,
or whenever it was, and we had already dropped the first 3. and we were working on the fourth.
Right.
And then, you know, we hit like, not I don't want to say a snag because we had other things going on. The Forbidden came out, and, you know, we started pushing that. So the Crazies are kind of like, they're still, I mean, issue 4 is written. We just got to go over it. And then Sam's going to drop the pencils on it and everything like that. But they, you know, it's funny to hear you say that, because by now the guys were like, yeah, nah, that book it's got to be in like issue 10 already. It will, we're coming back to it. We are coming back to it.
Yeah, because December is when I want to start doing the promo tour for the Crazies. You know, just start hitting as many shows as possible, getting the word out, you know, for the Crazies, because you know, that fourth campaign is, you know, I want it to be epic. You know, I want it to be like, you know, and, you know, hopefully the people that had the first 3 come back for the fourth one, and make it, you know, and hopefully that one just takes off.
Well, it's like you said, right? If they wait too long, you know, they can forget about it.
Yeah.
There's so much other content out there that they can pick up that, you know, automatically it's like, I'll pick that up whenever.
Yeah, which is why, you know, always surprised by some of the other indies out there that the writers that have multiple campaigns, you know, after different titles, they get successful with each one, which is crazy. But with that said, I'm feeling kind of feverish, bro. I think it's time.
Let's get some meds.
Yeah, man.
It's time for your medicine.
The Homage cover.
The Homage. Yes. What is it about these Homage covers that has us all feeling misty-eyed?
Yeah, what's with the Homage?
Yeah, the Homage. So the Homage cover, you know, it's interesting because a lot of campaigns, Kickstarter, or whether it's Kickstarter or Indiegogo, I've noticed that that's the thing, right? Everybody's got the Homage cover in there, and they do really well. They do really well. I think a lot of people like the idea of, okay, I wonder what that cover would look like with that character.
Right.
And so we've done it. We have 2 Homage covers, one on the Crazies, and you did one for Forbidden.
Yes.
Okay. I'm planning a crowdfunding campaign for the Adventures of Wonder Duck, and I have an Homage cover there that Joe Holly, big shout out to Joe Holly, he's working on. So
nice.
The Homage covers live, right? What is one of your favorite Homage covers?
I think it's the Crazies Action Comics #1. That's my favorite.
Action Comics?
Yeah. I think that one, I think everyone tries to recreate that one. I think the people that found the Crazies appealing was the fact that we didn't try to make it identical to Superman. We did it the Crazy style, and so that's why it was so appealing. But I thought that, you know, that one certainly did a lot better than the Doctor Strange Homage cover.
What do you think that? I mean, I personally, I wasn't familiar with that cover. I obviously the Superman cover is iconic. That everybody know. Action Comics.
You know, the Doctor Strange was the top 10 selling Homage covers.
Really?
Yes. And Doctor Strange, that was one of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I've been looking at some of these, and I don't know if you remember.
Everyone does Spider-Man.
Was that?
Everyone does the Spider-Man. Everyone does the Superman Action Comics. You'll see the ones on X-Men or Wolverine. There's a lot of different ones. What were you saying?
No, I was gonna say that that there's, you know, like the Uncanny X-Men one where what you call it? What's his name? Cyclops is holding Jean Grey.
Yes.
She's just died, and he's holding her in her arms.
Yeah, Superman did the same thing with Supergirl.
Superman did the same thing with Supergirl, right? In Crisis on the Infinite Earth. They have that one. But they've done that a few times. I think from what I understand, the very first one of those was something from back in the 50s. It was like Baffling Mysteries, it was called.
Right.
And they did it first. They basically did the the girl dead in somebody's arms. It was a guy named Ace Baker back in 52. And then Steve Ditko did one of those in 1958 for something called Space Adventures, something similar to that. So that there are some homage covers that go back even before the comics that we know, you know what I mean? Like that we thought, oh snap, that's where it was. Another one that comes to mind is obviously the Amazing Fantasy 15. You know, it's the Spider-Man you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? You know the Fantastic Four cover, Fantastic Four #1.
Yeah.
That one comes to mind. There's another one that I'm thinking of. You know the one with the Incredible Hulk where he's shrinking on himself. That's another one. That's big.
Yeah, I have one planned for the Crazies graphic novel.
Okay.
But it's going to be an homage to the Turtles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
makes sense.
Turtle Power, yeah. That one's going to be dope. And then I got something planned for Duty for next year.
Nice. Well, Duty's been doing homages for a long time.
For a long time, yeah.
Duty's been doing homages for a very long time. They've been homages to Terminator.
You know what's funny? Funny is that I could just use those covers.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, because I got the Matrix.
Right, the Matrix was one.
The
of them,
Rambo.
Right? The Matrix was Rambo. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Rambo. But you know what? But are they homages to the movie posters, or are they just like they're just dressed in the gear?
The Matrix is homage. No, they're the movie posters because that's that scene with Rambo with the machine gun.
Okay.
And that's the Matrix scene where he's in.
Yeah, he's jumping with the trench coat.
Yeah. I just realized that. I was like, wait, those covers, no one's seen them other than no.
Were they ever you printed? Were they ever printed?
On the back, they were back covers.
Oh, okay.
They weren't primary covers; they were secondary covers.
Yes.
Yeah, I just realized.
Yeah. So I mean, homage covers, and there are many different reasons as to why they're done. Obviously, we're all nostalgic, bro. We all like the nostalgia. We all
underoos are fun to wear.
Yeah. When you songs that you hear, right? Movies you watch, things that bring you back to your childhood are like automatically going to make you either purchase something or listen to something. I think that's the secret.
Yeah, you brought that up. Things that are nostalgic. And what is that one song that makes you want to go out and shop?
The one song that makes you want to go out and shop?
Yeah, it just brings back that feeling, and you just want to go and shop. I'm trying not to give too many cues.
No. For me, honestly, whenever I hear Christmas music, I want to shop. But that's just because it's Christmas. But I no. What do you got?
The Christmas commercial for Toys R Us.
Oh, okay.
Toys R Us time of year. Toys R Us. Yeah. And they have the jingle. Oh man! Every time I heard that commercial come on, I was like, I want to go to Toys R Us. I want to go shopping. It's like, yo, I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. Yo, I used to love Toys R Us, man. Oh my God. I remember, speaking, again, when I was a big toy collector, I would spend the weekends just Toys R Us and KB Toys hopping.
You must have been devastated when.
Oh yeah, I was pissed. I said this is what happens when things go public. The investors, they just want money and they don't understand that the toys create an experience. It's the experience in Toys R Us that bring people back, and they were too busy just trying to make money, and they were stocking it with diapers and doing all this crazy stuff, and they forgot the essence of what Toys R Us was. And I don't think they'll ever capture that again because we went so far away from family, and family was about gift giving. Family was about dinners and holidays and vacations together, and praying together. All that's out the door, and they've separated the family for so many years. Making you focus on individual achievement and and working and. Where you were afraid to answer the doorbell when the doorbell rang, like, who the hell's there now? But back in the days, you just walked through the door and you answered the door because you thought it was your uncle or your cousins or your whatever.
Yeah, and I think part of it too, and gamers are gonna hate me for this, but I think video games killed Toys R Us also, because there were no more toys. Like, what do kids play with today? You know what I mean? What action figure? What doll? What do kids play with today? If it's not
Legos.
Your phone. Yeah, Lego has its own store, though.
Yeah.
Lego doesn't even need Toys R Us. Lego has its own store, right?
And Disney has its own store. Everybody went individual.
everybody's got their own store, but also what do we need Toys R Us for, right? You know what I mean? Like, I remember going to Toys R Us. No, I agree. I remember going into Toys R Us, and whether it was a turtle action figure that I wanted, whether it was a G.I. Joe action figure that I wanted, whether it was a, He-Man,
Warlord,
Thundercats, Warlord, Transformers,
Action Jackson,
Voltron.
Yeah.
I mean, I can name tons of just, toys that I wanted to go get. The Castle Grayskull, if I wanted to get that. Any one of the G.I. Joe, whether it's a base, whether it was a car, whether it was an airplane, like, I can go to Toys R Us to get it. The minute that, we started doing this on the games, what am I going to Toys R Us to get a
and you know
game?
and you know what's crazy, and that's where everything strayed from the family, because toys was the key to tomorrow's adults. Because like G.I. Joe, that was a great way to recruit for the military. Because you wanted to be a G.I. Joe, you wanted to drive the tank, you wanted to fly a Tomahawk, you wanted to fly the Raven, you wanted to be in those things, so you wanted to experience. So as a kid, you really looked up to the military because of G.I. Joe. And that's where the military struggles today with their bad rep. And, because there's nothing there, there's no spokesperson that's speaking to the kids for future enrollment. It's the imagination back in the days. Toys R Us combined with Saturday morning cartoons sparked that generation sparked the Steve Jobs, the creative thinker, the visionaries. The Lucases of the world, all these people that came from these generations, they came from the creative era, and it just sparked this. The greatest, the best movies, the best things came out from those eras, from those kids that grew up in those eras.
Well, okay, let's talk about that. The best movie. Okay, what is the era for best movies, do you think?
I think some of the best movies came out in the 80s and 90s.
80s and 90s, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs wasn't making movies in the 80s and 90s.
No, Steve Jobs was Apple. I'm talking about his Apple computer. He was making computers in the 80s and 90s.
No, right. But what I'm saying is, those, to me, the advances in computers, to me, is what killed the movies of the 80s and 90s. Because now we can do more with the special effects, and the story can take a back seat. Because let's just make things blow up, and let's make things as realistic as possible on the screen. And the story, where back in the days, the story was what it was. You have to have a great story, and let's see if we can work something out with the special effects.
Because
I wish there was a way to combine both.
The problem is the creative versus corporate. So, perfect example is Peter Jackson, because he's a creative who had the control, right? He was able to pay respect to J.R. Tolkien and compliment the story when he came out with Lord of the Rings and Return of the King and all that stuff, because he was a diehard fan who loved it, and he had control, and he had the trust of corporate. When you take somebody else who doesn't have the trust and they just want you to finish the project, you're going to end up with a Daredevil with Ben Affleck that sucked. You're going to end up with a Green Lantern that was garbage. You're going to end up with a Catwoman that's Halle Berry that sucked. Because when you have to, I think the creative team behind the project has to be fans of the project in order to give that project the respect it's due. When you don't have that, you get problems.
Yeah, I mean, and the suits have to just kind of take a back seat.
Take a back seat. You know what I'm saying?
Watch how this works.
Yes, go in the stock market, do your thing. Sit in the boardroom and talk your nonsense, but let the creators be the creatives. Stay out of the way. Don't pretend that you know what you're talking about. Just let them do it. You got them for a reason. Let them do their job. But with that said, this was a great conversation. If you have an opinion about this subject matter, please put a comment below. I see that our guest is in the waiting room, so we're going to run to a commercial break. And when we return, we're going to bring back John E. Hervey into the show.
Are you sitting at home wondering how you're going to spread the word about that Comic-Con that you're about to appear at, and you want to get some press? How about your first book signing? How do you spread the word so you can get an audience there? Or that first panel at a Comic-Con? Who do you talk to? Or even your first crowdfunding on Kickstarter or Indiegogo? The world is turning to podcasting to get the word out. Why not you? Sponsor an episode of Catch the Craze and start promoting yourself today.
All right, we're bringing in our guest.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh, success.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
All
Sometimes
right.
you just gotta kick it.
That's it. Can
Turn
I
it off,
kick it?
Turn it back on. I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm just turning this thing off and putting it back on.
There you
Good
go.
enough, man. Good enough.
There you go.
Hey,
So
man,
what's
thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you for
Dude,
responding. I was like, what is this guy? Disappeared on us? What happened?
We're gonna get stood up. We're about to get stood up tonight, Sam.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't know. I was like, well, I know they'll reach out to me. I put in the, the thing. I was like, then I got your message. I was looking at my phone. I was like, oh yeah, I got the time blocked out on my calendar.
All right. Well, let's start recording then, because we
We
paused
are
it real
recording.
quick. Okay, excellent. Welcome everybody back to Catch the Craze. We are on here with Mr. John Hervey, Black Tiger Hidden Dragon. But we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. Let's just start off. For those who don't know who you are, John, please give us your background,
Yes.
where you came from, how you got into this crazy game of comics, all that stuff.
All right, so I started in comics. I'm an old cat. I started in comics.
John, I knew you're an old cat when you said I'm an old cat. When you use the term "I'm an old cat," you
Bro.
already know, because I'm an old cat too. So
That's
I
what I'm
know.
saying. Right when I said no, like my son would be like, "Really? You said cat?" I'm like, "Hey, cat, daddy." My son's like, "Oh my gosh, dad."
You know what? But they brought back dope. We used to use dope all the time back in the days. Right now, it's cool.
It's cool again.
It's cool
It's
again.
cool
now,
again.
right?
My son acts like they made it up.
Right? I'm like, I'm waiting for Fresh to come back. Wait till Fresh comes back. I'm gonna be like, all right, see?
Exactly. I'll be
F-R-E-S-H.
like, just like Dougie.
Yes. Dougie.
Fresh.
Go ahead. So tell us your background, John.
So, my first time working in comics was in the mid '90s. So I was in school at the time. A buddy of mine, he got a gig at Motown Animation. So Motown was actually in the Mid-Wilshire district of Los Angeles. And Michael Davis, who was one of the Milestone founders, he had, before the Bad Boy Studios we know, he had his Bad Boy art studio in New York. So him and a bunch of his dudes, including Chris Sotomayor. So that's where Soto got his. I mean, he was already the man. I mean, he's basically the head color for the company, but like he worked under Michael Davis. That's where I met John Paul Leon, rest his soul. Brett Lewis, all those cats came from New York, and we're in the Mid-Wilshire district. So I mean, you guys roll New York style. I mean, so these guys, they come to LA. LA is a driving culture. These dudes, they live near the office because public transit is complete crap in LA.
Yeah.
And half the dudes didn't even have driver's licenses, dude. They're just like, what the hell do I need a driver's license for?
Wow.
Going from one big city to the next big city. But LA is very different. So growing up in LA, you drive.
Right.
So I got hired on by Mike Davis. Kind of long story short was my boy was an editor over there, and he was like, Mike needs a gopher. So I was like, hey, I ain't too proud. Get my foot in the door.
That's right.
And so, I mean, literally, these kids didn't have a car. So like, I'd be rolling around. We'd be going places. At the time in LA, you had Top Cow and you had Aspen on the west side, and you had Extreme. You on way in Orange County. So, Motown was one of the last kind of those studios that ended up being published by Image, but they already knew all these cats, so I started to meet all these other cats. So see how I told you I'm old, dude, cats. But so I was a gopher, but I was always pitching Mike, always pitching him on stories I wanted to write. And he's just like, you know what, bro, that's great. He's like, but I just need you to go get some coffee. like really, dude, where are the donuts? Thanks for the ideas, but we're hungry.
Right,
so,
right.
But over time, I started doing some editing on some of the books. Then what ended up happening is my dude, Chuck Drost, he was one of the artists. He was amazing. He had a book called Trouble Man. And the dude that was supposed to write the book ghosted. Now, Mike comes up to me on a Thursday and he's like, listen, I know you've been sweating. You've been sweating me for like 2 years to write something when all I wanted you to do is get some donuts. So now's your shot. It was a Thursday. He says, you're going to come back on Tuesday with a full script for the first issue. He's like, no pressure, but if this sucks, you don't have to worry. You won't even be getting donuts, dude.
No pressure.
Yeah, but no pressure. And he said it like, he said it kind of in his joking, not joking way. So I was like, okay. But the thing is, I didn't tell him this till years later. And he was like, you bastard. Since I was the dude driving these kids all around, I would go over to Chuck's spot, usually after work. And to show you how old this was, we would either be in the studio playing Doom. Okay, Doom. If you don't even know what that is, it just shows how old our asses are. We're playing Doom. And on top of that, to play Doom, we couldn't do it from our own spots. We all had to be on the network at work. So we would get on stations at work at night. So sometimes what we would do is we would go, we'd get somebody to eat, let everybody else, because it was still Motown. So, I mean, it's like, if you just, if other folks would walk through, they'd be like, what are you doing? So we let everybody leave, we come back, and we start playing Doom. So I take these kids home. So I take Chuck home sometimes. They all live close. Like, I mean, a couple of them live literally across the street. Chuck lived a few blocks away, but I would work with him on his story. So I had reams of material already, dude, on this. I already had ideas of what I wanted to do with the stuff that he had drawn for the first issue. So I went back and, just being the bastard I am, he gave me from Thursday till Tuesday. I fronted like I sweated to put all this together. I was chilling, man. I mean, literally,
Did you
this
give
is
it to
like
him?
come true to me.
Did you give it to him on a Monday just because?
Nah, bro, I had him wait. I wanted him to think that I worked from Thursday through Tuesday, came in and gave him the stuff. And he was just like, this isn't bad. And I'm like, well, damn, I'm glad I worked on it for a long time. So I guess if I worked on it for a short amount of time, I mean, I'd really put my heart, I'd spend a lot of time. He's like, oh, this ain't bad. This isn't bad for somebody who did it over 4 days. I'm like, I'm sure as hell not telling them that I've been working on this for a long time now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So long story short, that was the first time I got published with Trouble Man. And from there, I did some freelance work here and there. But man, I really had some ideas that I wanted to publish. And I knew nobody wanted to put these ideas on, at least not the way that I wanted to do them. So that's how Black Tiger came around. I was actually with my then girlfriend, now wife. We went up to a vacation up the coast of California, and we were in like a little kind of bed and breakfasty spot. And I just got inspired, and I wrote up basically kind of a treatment for Black Tiger. And then she's just like, "Well, how are you going to get this made? Seeing as you get a little bit of freelance work here and there, but anytime you try to pitch something original, you just get slapped down, So I was like, well, I guess we got to make it. She's like, okay, good. You know how to do that? I'm like, no. But I've seen the process, So, you got to understand, man. This is a different day and age. It's not like today, man. You can't just Google whatever the hell you want.
Dude.
You can do anything today, man. Just Google it.
Yeah.
It's like my son. My son's like, why do I go to school? I can just Google it.
What was the time period? Like when Black Tiger, what year was this?
So we got it published in 2005.
Okay.
So, and we went through Diamond. So different world, man. We're talking about, you get solicited in that big Bible of a monthly book.
Right.
So, had to buy ad space because nobody knew me from Adam.
And that's expensive.
Bro, let me tell you something.
Expensive.
It was mad expensive. And on top of that, I made 34 cents on the dollar for everything that was sold.
Wow.
So I'm shelling out all the cash. I'm paying for the books to be produced. I'm paying for them to be printed. I'm paying to ship them over to Diamond. I'm paying for marketing, right? And on top of that, if you got this big Bible of a book, the first 3/4 of the book is Marvel, DC. Then you start getting to like Image. Back in the day, they had like CrossGen. You got Dark Horse. You got all this stuff. Then you finally get back to us suckers in the back.
You have Valiant up there, right?
Valiant, yeah. I mean, and Valiant was bringing the heat back in the day. So, I mean, there was a lot of fire in this book. So it wasn't like a bunch of sucky books. I mean, it was like you got a lot of fire. If somebody has the wherewithal or just has nothing to do with their time, and they finally get to the back of the book, that's where the rest of us suckers are.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. So my company is Beyond Time, starts with a B. So you think that would put me close to the front. But you know what? I wasn't thinking, because everybody and their mama in independent books starts with a name. Why? Because they're trying to get on the earlier part of the last part of the book.
Right.
You know? So I'm like, you know, sometimes just jumping in, not knowing what the hell you're doing, it really does hurt.
Absolutely, dude. There's so much to like just peel back from the story you just told us right now. So you started as a gopher, but as a kid, what were you like? Were you into comics, or were you into more like you know, just reading regular books? Like what was your thing as a kid? What was the thing that really got you your creative juices going?
If it wasn't for comics, I probably wouldn't be reading today. I mean, my mom used to get me comic books because that's what actually started me to reading. Because before that, I was just like, yeah, no, I'm not reading this. Screw that. But it's like, you know, you start getting the comics, and then, you know, first thing I would do is flip the pictures, and I'm like, okay, now I actually want to know what the hell's going on. Guess I got to read it. Then next thing I know, I'm reading the books. I'm enjoying the books. And see, but back then, there wasn't even really, like, I didn't know anything about a direct market. We'd go to the local drugstore or the 7-Eleven down the street, and they had one spinner rack, then two spinner racks. So I was just picking up books, and honestly, like, I didn't even really, like, I didn't know these characters came from comics. So, like, I started picking up, like, Batman, because I see him in, like, you know, Super Friends, Superman, Spider-Man cartoons were always out. The old school Hulk and Thor cartoons, like the animatic ones, all that stuff was out. So I was like, I know these characters, so I'll pick them up. And then one day, it was like a magical day. I was at the spinner rack. My mom was up, and so like kind of the way the drugstore works is went down like 3 stairs and a platform and 3 stairs. So like the middle platform is where like the toys and the comic books were. So I was in that magical area, sitting on the stairs looking at books. And they had increased to 2 spinner racks. So I was just like, man, this is crazy. I've never seen this many comics in my life. I mean, 2 spinner racks, dude. And I said, Mom will probably only get me 1 book, maybe 2, if she's having a really good day. So I'm just like, oh, man. So I'm going through the spinner racks, and I see the books that I usually want to get. And I usually would just kind of hop on those names. But then one day, my eyes got diverted, and I saw this cover, and I said, I didn't know the characters at the time, but it had a giant Crusher Creel. He was holding up Miss Marvel like he was King Kong. Iron Man was attacking him, the Vision, the Beast, the Wasp. And I was like, this looks dope. And I know some of these characters. I know Iron Man. I don't know some of the other characters. And I'd seen the Beast, but I didn't understand the Beast because I was like, I thought the dude was just a dude, but now he's blue. I don't know. I think it's the same dude. I'm kind of confused, but this looks dope. So I picked up the book. I mean, I didn't know what I was getting, but like I was in love. I read it and I kept reading it. I'm at the dinner table. I'm still rereading this book. And I told my mom, I said, Mom, I'm now a comic book collector. And she says, that's good, baby. Finish your string beans. Finish your string. Put that down and eat your string beans. You know, but I've probably made a lot of professions throughout my life. That's one that has stuck. No. You know, I mean, that book was actually a book that was drawn by John Byrne. Mm-hmm. And it was the stories by Dave Michelini. So like I had no idea how awesome these dudes were. All I knew is that this story is awesome and comics are the best thing known to man. But you got to understand, this today is cool to read comics. Right. It was not cool to read comics back in the day. I mean, I had already seen a kid, get the business. You know, just because he came to school in a Superman shirt with a big old S on his chest. Man, they were like, "Oh, you think he's Superman, dude?" Yeah. And I was just like, "Ah, man." man.
No
So I was
bueno.
like, okay, note to self.
Yeah,
Don't
you
wear
gotta hide
that
your
heavy
underoos.
shit.
You gotta hide the underoos under the clothes. You can't be broadcasting that.
Yeah, hey man, if you're wearing your underoos on the outside, you better be a real superhero.
You better-
Yeah.
You better
Underoos,
fly.
underoos are not fun to wear.
No, not when you're getting busted up.
Yeah, no,
Word.
no. Yeah, it was taboo. It was you were considered a geek, a nerd, you were corny. Back then, it was not cool at all.
Wasn't cool.
You had
People-
shell top
people wear those
Adidas.
badges with pride now. It wasn't cool back
Yeah,
then.
yeah. Cool was shell top Adidas. Cool was Nike back then. Not
Yeah.
not that
Yeah,
stuff.
Nike was a joint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it was a different world.
Yeah.
So, started meeting a couple friends. Like one dude, like we saw each other over the spinner rack, and we just you kind of froze. So I was like, should I act like I'm just walking by? But I got a book in my hand. Dang. And on top of that, so do you guys watch any MMA?
Yeah, well, of course, I love
Okay.
it. Yes.
You know Herb Dean?
Yes,
Ref?
of course. Yes.
He's Herb.
Yeah.
So I went to school with Herb. You gotta
Wow.
understand.
Get out of here.
So you gotta understand, Herb was tough as nails. Nicest dude, but always tough. Like, this is what Herb would do for fun. He's like, hey man, let's go somebody, which means like you punch each other in the body. That's what Herb did for fun. Hey man, let's go somebody. Like sometimes I see Herb, I try to go the other way. Hey John, I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Hey man, let's go somebody, dude. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, I had a friend like that. His name was Kirshner. He thought he got kicks out of catching you in your gut and knocking your air out. And oh
That
my
was fun.
God! I
That was
mean,
fun.
whatever you had the night before was out. It was just he was an animal. He was an animal.
Oh,
I mean, Herb is doing his dream job.
Yeah.
Because that's what he did. I mean, he'd be like, you know what? I'll let you have some free shots, dude. And I'm just like, I've tried all that. It doesn't work, dude. You know, it's like I hit you and it makes me feel even smaller. Like to hit somebody in their body and it doesn't even like affect them. You're like, oh, come on, man. I just want to read some. But so I saw Herb at the spinner rack and I was like, man, he's gonna roll me up. But Herb was collecting Daredevil.
Look at that.
So then we started getting cool. I was collecting the Avengers. He was collecting Daredevil. So I started going to a spot. We start swapping comics and reading comics. I read the whole Daredevil, Elektra, that whole series where Elektra got killed. I read that at his house.
Wow.
He had the whole original Frank Miller run. And dude, we're kids, so our comic books were in terrible shape, dude.
Oh yeah, killing him, right? You were killing him.
Man, I had torn covers, the whole nine.
Yeah.
You know, I had
Listen,
one cover.
You're reading your books at the dinner table, bro. Like
That's all you gotta say.
that's
Yeah.
it.
I've got chicken grease on my fingers reading a book. That's all I gotta
That's
say.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
I think one book I tore, and then my mom put like not the masking tape, but like the gray tape.
Yeah.
Oh,
She just put that on the binding. Just,
Over.
destroyed it.
Over.
just tore it up, man.
Over.
I was like, you should have just left it ripped, Ma.
So that took you down this path of wanting to write like those people that you read the books from. I remember being a little kid, bro. Like a lot of my vocabulary came from those comics.
Fuck yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of my words came from just reading comics that I would hide those words because I'm like, yo, these words are too big to use right now. Let me not use these.
Any words that came from Stan Lee, definitely.
man.
Excelsior.
I would
I
read
didn't know what that
dictionary.
meant. I didn't mean that that meant until my late 20s.
Man, I would read with a dictionary, bro. You know? And my cousin was like, dude, this is pathetic. You're reading comics and I see you looking at the dictionary like every other page, dude.
It's crazy.
I'm like, you try to read this, dude.
Oh man.
No, you try to read this.
But that you talk about magical, that's the magic of comics, my man. Like that's what it was. You just got hooked, and then you had to wait every month for the next issue to come out.
Yes.
Right? Like there was like next, and you're like, oh man, what's the preview? Like it's the equivalent of watching a series on Netflix right now, like where they just tease you till next week of what episode was from. So what were some of the first things you wrote as a kid? Like did you start writing right away, or were you just like, yeah, I'm just gonna read right now and then when did you start writing?
I started writing right away, but I'll tell you, I love the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons. So I would make I try to make my own comic books, man. I'd be making like Space Ghost comic books.
Space
you know,
Ghost.
Herculoid,
Yes. Yeah.
you know, all kinds of stuff like that, man. So like, I was just like, it's dope. Of course it was garbage, but you know what? You're exercising that creative part of your brain, and then you start to get a little bit more creative. You're like, let me see if I can make my own characters.
Right.
So like me and my cousins, we started doing that, and you start realizing that like, man, there's a whole world of stuff that you can do. I mean, you just it's unlimited. And I think one of the things I'm sad about is that like kids don't like comics the way that we like them.
Yeah.
Because I really feel like it opens up your imagination.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because right now, all they're doing is just watching these movies that are out, which I like them. Don't get me wrong. I do like the movies that are out. I like the shows that are out. But there's nothing like sitting down with a book and reading it and then letting your imagination kind of just go somewhere. And then, like you said, you create your own characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know that I was a big fan of Moon Knight, and I was a big fan of Ghost Rider, right? So I had my own character. His name was Moon Rider. Straight up, just Moon Rider. That's it. Yeah. That's what that was. Let me write that.
I like Ghost Rider. I like Moon Knight. This is my guy.
That's it. That's my guy. So that's how it was. But what was do you remember some of your first, beside like when you really were like, all right, this is actually pretty good. Like when did you hit that moment where you're like, oh, this isn't bad right here?
Man, I think when I realized when I had hit high school and I wasn't outgrowing it, and I was just like, okay, this is a thing for me. You know what I mean? Because like even my cousin would be like, oh man, when you start liking girls next Y and Z, I'm like, look, I like girls, but I still love comics. You start doing this, and I'm like, hey, I'm doing this, but I still love comics, man. This isn't going away.
Right.
This is like herpes for me. I got this. It's not going nowhere.
For life.
Like it's not going anywhere.
Nice.
That's awesome, dude. That is awesome. So
then at that point, it was kind of the parents were just like, oh, well, you need to make sure you study something where you can actually earn a living. It's different. Like today, kids know that they can make a living doing anything.
Right.
If you develop a skill, if you become a good artist, if you become a good writer, if you become good at designing things, you can get paid.
Right.
But back then, my parents were just like, no, you need to, they just didn't want me in their house. You need to study something
right.
So that you can go live on your own and have your own house.
Right. Yes.
Have your own life. Because I know they were scared. They're like, this kid is 18. He's still reading comic books. They're just thinking like, man, this kid's going to be in my house at 35, reading comic books,
Move in the basement, read more comic books.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
That's crazy.
Damn. So you're in high school now. When did you think, all right, well, you said you had a few professions. So what was what did your parents say? Okay, this is what you're going to study now. Did you have like almost like that one thing that you were studying for and you're like, I'm not going to do this anymore?
I was really kind of seeking because of course parents want you to be a professional. Mm-hmm. I'm like, look, you need to be a doctor. I'm like, look, I was like, I would get sick watching like forensic shows, bro. Like I'd be sitting there, like me and my friends would be watching forensic shows, and I'm like, I don't feel so good. This isn't working for me. We did like a biology thing where we like dissected a frog. Oh, that tore me up, man. And we like pinning the frog down, and I'm like this. I'm like, and then the formaldehyde is getting in my nose, dude, and I'm just like. After that, it was crazy. I was like all kinds of jacked up after we did that. Like I didn't eat meat of any sort for like a month. I just kept seeing the frog.
Yeah.
And the frog's all up like this, legs pinned down.
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't right. This isn't for me. I don't need any of this in my life.
So there goes medicine. Medicine's out the window.
There goes medicine.
Yeah.
I knew some friends that wanted to be lawyers, and I'm like, look, I'm not trying to be arguing like you guys all the time. I'm not interested in that.
So that was it. There goes law school.
So, it's just like, honestly, I didn't come like people come out of high school and know what they want to do. I was like, I'm just going to go to school because I want to write, but I'm really getting sweated not to do that.
Right. So what was your first Comic-Con as a fan?
Okay. First Comic-Con as a fan, I was, it was actually the year before I got the gig at Motown. So I was in school, I was at USC, and a buddy of mine, it's funny because we were both basketball players. And I'm telling you, it still wasn't completely cool to be a nerd.
No.
So like, this dude, he, you know, we were hooping, and I don't know how it came out, but somehow one of us mentioned Robotech. And then it was just like, I saw it in his eyes. I was like, oh, I see that. So then I started throwing some other stuff out. And I'm like, oh, word.
Nice.
Okay. So then you kind of do the Batcave thing. Hey, why don't you come on over to my spot? Pull out some long boxes. I was like, I got this. Oh, all right. It's on now.
Nice.
So we went to Comic-Con. We went to San Diego Comic-Con. That was the first one.
Wow.
But if you've ever been to San Diego Comic-Con today, it was more like, it was an indie show, dude. It was, I mean, like, it was only a part of the hall. It wasn't the whole thing. It was probably maybe, I don't know, if you did like A to D or something like that. I mean, you could easily do the whole con in one day. Yeah. So it was a part of the con. It was just booth babes and sweaty dudes. That was it.
That's it.
That was it.
Still hiding from their friends. Still hiding to keep them from their friends and shit.
Exactly. But then you know what ended up happening? You go there and you see somebody else you know.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Did he see me? I thought, oh, damn it, we're both at Comic-Con, so it's over now.
Right.
You know, you can pretend like, oh yeah, well yeah, man. You know, my dude just wanted to come. No, come on, you're a
come on, man, you're here.
You know, so just own it. Just own it.
It's crazy how that convention grew so fast, right?
Yeah.
Like from where you mentioning it to where it got, because by the time we started going out there, maybe like what it was, like early 2000s, Sam, like maybe like towards the middle 2000s, and it was already panels and you know, the Superman movies being premiered here, you know, the trailers being premiered.
I mean, we had what's it, Charles Dutton stopped by the table. I mean, you had celebrities walking around like nothing.
Yeah, celebrities
when we went. You know,
dope.
yeah, it was crazy.
That's crazy though when you think about it. And celebrities go there, and they're for real, like going there to check stuff out.
Yeah.
Maybe even try to find their next project. It was nothing like that, man. There was no celebrities there, bro.
Yeah, because it was corny.
So true.
Because it was corny to them. You know, now celebrity knows it's a cash cow to be involved in comic book, anything comic book related.
Yeah. My funny story from that Comic-Con was, I knew I should bring something for sketches, so I brought a book for sketches, and I went to a table, and it was the creator of Hellboy, Mike Mignola was there.
Nice.
And nobody's around this cat.
Right.
Okay. So I'm chilling. I'm having a conversation with Mike Mignola. He's just chilling. Okay. And then he says, "Hey, you got a sketchbook?" He's like, "I'll just sketch you something for free. What do you want me to sketch?" What do you think I said? Because I'm a dumbass.
What you said, Popeye?
You said like Spider-Man.
I said Batman, dude.
You said Batman. Oh.
He looked at me just like, he did it. But I had a reason.
I would have choked you.
I had a reason for it. He did a Batman annual that was dope. I'd never seen. Imagine the Hellboy style, but like on kind of a darkish. It wouldn't be dark today, but back in the day, kind of a darkish, kind of a Batman story. And I was like, oh, this is dope. You know, no, I didn't have him draw Hellboy. And I think when I look back on that, I'm just like, I'm an idiot.
He's probably saying, "Say Hellboy, say Hellboy, say Hellboy." You're like Batman.
Say my character. Say my character. He's like, what am I drawing his character for?
I know. Like I was just drawing that one time when I needed to get my daughter some diapers.
Oh man,
that's dope.
Damn, dude. So that's dope. So then you started out. You got the gig over at Motown, and when would you say that you were able to actually, you know, look at writing as a career? When did you have that moment?
You know, I started having that moment then. It was interesting because I was like, you know what? This is actually working, you know, and I'm enjoying it. You know, then I think as I started to get some other, you know, kind of freelance gigs, I kind of realized that, like, okay, I realize this is a business, you know, and I may have some ideas, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but there is a corporate vision. You know what I mean? Because they have plans, and they don't have to tell me what their plans are. but they have plans. So it's like you get brought on board. It's just like when you go work any other job. You're like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to go and I'm going to write whatever I want to about these characters, and it's going to be fly.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, they start letting you know, well, you got to start going in this direction. And then I was like, okay, I get it. There's more at play. I'm like, I want to do my own thing.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so, but once I made that decision and I wasn't freelancing anymore, I had to do different kind of day work so I could create my own stuff. So that was a decision that I made. I don't regret that decision. I mean, and my whole thing is like, some people are kind of salty about stuff like that. I'm not salty about it at all, because at the end of the day, you know, companies own characters.
Yeah.
I know I feel like I own them at times too, because like I grew up and whatever, and whether you like it or not, whatever their agenda is, that's what's going to happen. So you can, and this is why I'm really excited about what you guys are doing, and I'm excited about this whole indie scene. At the end of the day, if you want to make something, or you want to see characters do a certain thing, then you make it.
Do it. Yeah.
You make it. You write that. You get your own team together. You do that. So that was basically what happened for me. I was like, okay, well, I'm not mad at this, but this isn't exactly how I want to do my writing. And I decided, you know what, as a day gig, I'd rather just have a day gig. And then let writing just be my baby. Let that just be, you know, because that was the thing that was kind of tough for me, because I wasn't, you know, I did my studies in like, I did some writing classes, but I did a lot of my studies more in like the finance area. So I was always used to, but I just wrote a ton, and I still do. So I was, you know, I'd write movie scripts and comics and TV, but I wasn't used to the side. I was used to an editor, but I wasn't used to, hey, you know, this is kind of the agenda we're rolling with. And I was just like, this could kind of steal my joy of this, you know? So I was just like, I think this is better for me to be able to create my own stuff.
Right.
And, you know, as a writer, and then, you know, work other ways to provide.
Yeah, I think that you spoke about this a little bit when you said, now you can just do it. Like, but when even us, like when we started doing this indie stuff, like back in the early 2000s or whatever, it wasn't as easy as it is now, dude. Like finding an artist was an ordeal. Bro, like if you don't, like finding an artist, bro, it's like, how am I going to find this artist? Like you had DeviantArt, sure, you had the forums and all that other stuff, but it was so hard. Now you go on Instagram or on Facebook, you look through somebody's page, yo, that looks dope. How much? Like, you know what I mean? It's like shopping. It's like shopping.
Dude. That's how I met the Black Tiger artist. We've been working together for 17 years.
Wow.
It was on digital webbing, bro.
Digital webbing, yes.
Oh my God.
And dude, this is like, I'd say it's like speed dating, but it's like, it's not even that, because like, I guess it kind of is like, you put out, I was like, hey, you know, I'm looking for, you know, 5'4", something. I'm putting out there, hey, you know, I want an artist that loves to write, to draw this, and like, you know, I'm kind of this kind of a writer. And then you just kind of sit back and you wait for people to reply, you know, and then they kind of, hey, yeah, you know, and then they start to send you a little bit of artwork. I mean, it was such a clunky process.
Yes.
You know, it wasn't like it is today, where like you could just literally just see somebody's profile of work and just be like, hey, that looks dope. Are you available?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you had to do the whole
there.
form thing.
So how long did it take you to find that artist on digital web?
It took about 6 months. So what happened was I found another artist who was really dope. So he got on the project and he was like, I'm not really trying to do this Kung Fu thing. So he was like, you know, I thought I wanted to work on this, but I don't. Psych. I was like, hey. You know, I was like, damn. And then you start catching feelings. I'm just like, man, maybe this sucks. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm all in my own feelings. I'm like, don't nobody want to work with me. You know?
That sucks. Yeah.
But then he actually pointed me towards Rod, who's the guy that I work with. And Rod, oh man, he absolutely loved the story. And you know, you have that chemistry, especially as a writer, because everything that I give is in the written form. So I have pictures of things. So this is what I do. I'll give pictures of things, I'll give references, but at the end of the day, if I draw something, it's terrible.
Right.
I can't portray portray my ideas that way. But he would take that, and I felt like it was like Voltron. I feel like he would take it, and then something even better. We would put it together, and something better would come out of it. And I was just like, this is like magic. You know, I'm like, this is the best stuff ever.
Nice.
So I still feel like that 17 years later, man. Like comics to me is like, it's like magic. I love it.
How many projects have you guys worked together on?
So we have worked on, we have done about 9. No, we've done 12 Black Tiger issues.
Wow.
About 20. The first one was 31 pages. The other ones were all 25 pages each. We worked on, just because we're crazy, we worked on an animatic. So we did a 10-minute animatic based on my one property, Magna. And dude, that took us like 2 years. And you got to understand, it's not full animation. This is like 2 cells a second animatic.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
2 years, Jesus.
Nice. 2 cells
Yeah,
a
so, I
second.
mean,
How slow is that?
What's that?
2 cells a second?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like, I mean, it's straight animatic mode.
Right.
You know, I mean, it is not like the animation that we're used to watching. I mean, it's up there for free on my YouTube page. You guys can check it out.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really proud of it. The art is really good, but it's just like, you know, to go from an animatic, because those are like kind of like keyframes, to animation is a lot of work will be required. And that's not going to happen right now.
Yeah.
You know, but we produced it. So it's like we got voice actors, we got music, Foley, and we made it, you know, kind of like an animation would be, except for it's, you know, much fewer cells per second.
Right. So now going back in time, there's a point where you were producing your books and you were financially funding everything, and then you you transition into crowdfunding. What was that moment and why?
So you're right. So I'm financing everything. The diamond experiment was a terrible failure. So I put in lots of money, and I'm not going to say I lost lots of money, but a lot of money got spent and not a lot of money came back into my pocket.
Right.
Just large print runs that were required. Bro, I must have given, I don't know how many thousands of books to the military. Like, you know, they have like those bundles where you can give those to the military.
Yeah.
So I actually had dudes from the military that would reach out, hey man, I read your book. I'm like, I'm glad somebody. Because I printed a whole bunch of those jets. You know, like, you know, I ended up, you know, so like it was just, that was admittedly kind of discouraging when you realize, like, back in the day there was no model for small independent comics.
Well, there was no print on demand. Like, you had to print thousands of books. Like, there was no Kablam. There was no, you know what I mean, Comics Wells. Like, there was none of that. Yeah, no, I hear you.
None of that. So Rod and I, we kind of kept the artwork machine rolling, but we really didn't have a distribution outlet. So I built a web reader on the website. So started distributing the books that way and building a fan base that way. And that was cool, but people still want the books in their hand.
Right.
So they're like, hey man, I'm enjoying this. Would love to get this in, you know, a graphic novel form. So people were starting to do their campaigns. So I was like, oh, well, you know what? We already have production on the first 6 issues of Black Tiger done. Why don't we put this into one giant graphic novel and see if people will buy it? So we did. It was a 172 pager, that first graphic novel. And considering that nobody knew us from Adam, we literally just hopped on the scene. We just built it. Oh, we build it and they'll come. You know, we had no awareness of how to really, because it was a different world. I mean, it's like people think that like, oh, well, you've done comics before, so this must be easy. I'm like, no, because this is a totally different beast. You have to get out there. You have to make people, you know, see who you are. There's so many good books out there. People aren't just gonna go to Kickstarter or Indiegogo and say like, oh, you know, and I don't either. Like I see stuff on a show, that's when I buy it. And it may be something that I've seen a million times scroll through my feed. But then I'll see it on the show and I'm like, oh, okay, that actually looks kind of cool. And that creator, I like that.
Right.
Okay, I'll go get it.
Right.
You know, people think that they could just build stuff. That's what I thought. I thought I could just build it. So, you know, we've been doing the comics, but we also been building our brand.
Right.
And just trying to get the books out there, getting people, because the ecosystem is totally different. It doesn't work if there aren't shows. So you need shows, you know, so, you know, it's a big part of your marketing engine. You know, so you got to have shows like yours so people can find this stuff. You got to take care of the production. You got to get the printing right. You got to get the shipping right. So like you realize that like, okay, I thought I was making comics, but I'm actually going to wear 6 hats right now. And you got to enjoy it. You know, you know, if there's segments of that you just like, man, this is too much to handle. I mean, it's like, if you're an artist, you got to get on shows.
Right.
People need to see you. They got to learn who you are. They have to learn about your project.
Yeah.
You know, and then you got to fulfill. Sounds crazy. You know, it's like, you know, I see some folks, they're, you know, they've got, you know, oh, I'm coming out with another campaign. Hey, man, I backed your other campaign, bro.
What happened to that? Wait, I mean,
send me my book, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So John, so you were on Indiegogo. The campaign ended back in July, right? You're on demand now, right? You can still get your book on demand now.
That's
Why
right.
Indiegogo over Kickstarter? Or have you done Kickstarters?
I've done Kickstarter too.
You have? Okay.
I can't do them. So I've done them. I've never done them concurrently. Like I can't imagine doing them at the same time. Maybe, I mean, Billy Tucci can.
Right, yeah.
You know, he does it and he's smooth with it. He does them both. And he's like, I'm making 120,000 on both platforms. How do you like that?
Yeah, easy, just like that. Bam, at the same time.
I'm like, bro, I'm just trying to get a few more pennies on this one. You know, please.
So true, dude.
You know,
so true.
so I started with the Black Tiger. That was on both. It was on Kickstarter first, then on Indiegogo. Then when I did my Magna campaign, I did the Indiegogo, and I'm not gonna lie, man, I ran out of gas. I was just like, I wasn't ready for it because like I wasn't ready for another tour. So like, and the thing that, so I said, if I'm just gonna do one, the thing that I like about Indiegogo is it stays in demand. So I was like, at least, you know, at least it can stay in demand and more people can find out about it. That is a feature that I'm sure Kickstarter is going to put into play at some point. And I think when they do, that'll be helpful because, you know, when you have the two platforms, I buy off of both platforms, but there's people that only buy off of one, which is fine. So, and I've actually had some people say like, well, if you put that on Kickstarter, I buy over here. Well, so I first started off on Kickstarter and had a bunch of people say, hey, if that was on Indiegogo, I get it. Okay. so then I do the both. So now I'm on Indiegogo. People say, well, if that was on Kickstarter, I get it. I'm like, what? Why don't you guys just get the book if you want it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just get the book, man.
Yeah.
You know, just support the book. But I get it. You know, people, that's their thing. I'm not mad at them.
Yeah.
So I'm at a place now where I'm kind of like, okay, well, I have a number of books that I want to get out because I've been producing over time, but I didn't really have a vehicle for publishing. So I have a mailing list out now that is a dual book campaign. So it's the second volume of Magna, which is basically the last 3 issues of that story arc. And then the first 3 issues of The Posse, which is another book that I haven't had in print form, but is on the website. So I'm kind of in a place now where I'm like, the next 2 campaigns, well, okay, if this dual campaign just like totally sucks wind, I won't do it again, of course. Right. But if it gets some kind of traction, I'll do it again for the next Black Tiger campaign, because I'll mix Black Tiger with another property I have called The Orphans. And then after that, at least I have all of my properties out, and then I can probably get back to, okay, maybe a book, a campaign. But I was just like, I was trying to be ambitious. I was like, man, I'm going to do 3 campaigns this year. Man, I'm not doing 3 campaigns this year, dude.
That's a lot of work.
Oh, my Lord. You know, I'm eking out the second. You know, so I did, the first Black Tiger campaign was live at the beginning of the year. Then Magna went live about Q2 of this year. And I was already going to have, and then the Black Tiger campaign went live, you know, in Q3. And I'm just like, this is too much. This is too fast. You know, between getting the books out, I need to take a breather. and yeah, but it's growing, so it's a good.
Yes, I was just gonna say that, bro. I mean, you're doing your thing. I was looking at the one on Indiegogo. It says right down 198 backers. Did it finish with 180, and then you had additional people come in and just buy? Yeah. So you did really, really. I mean, that's a lot of people to kind of have to send books out to, though. Now, as a one-man show, right? Like that's the problem now. I mean, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But still, you have to fulfill those things because you don't want to be the guy that, hey, man, where's my book?
No, exactly.
You don't want to be that guy. Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy. So one of the things that's good is having done a couple of campaigns before, it's like I'm kind of mentally ready. I'm like, okay, we got to put on our hat and we have to get down to business. You cannot mess around with fulfillment. I'm like, once the books come in, your head has just got to be about get people their stuff. So like, I don't have a whole bunch of tchotchkes because that's just more stuff you got to send. And also sometimes people make things, but they don't fit in like Geminis and all kinds of stuff. So I got some special things like some t-shirts, but other than that, I got prints and I got books and we're pretty much good to go.
Let's roll with that. Let's roll with that. I'll be honest with you. The Chachi, like I have a box. They just go in a box. Like I don't do anything with them. Like I'll support it and stretch goals and all that other stuff. But realistically, what am I gonna do with a pen or, like I don't know. There are just some things that I just don't have any use. I mean, I'll support it, but I don't have any use for. So to me, it's like you're right. For what? Like books, prints, T-shirts, maybe a bookmark. Good. Let's go. Let's roll. But yeah, good job.
And I agree 100%. And the thing is, I don't know. I'm guessing there is a group of people out there that actually back because of the tchotchkes.
Sure.
But dude, I'm not that guy. Like I backed the book because like you give me all the other stuff. It's like you could have saved your money. I would have paid that money just to give me the book. You didn't have to put the patches and the stickers and any of that other stuff in there. And I'd have been happy. I'm like, I'm just trying to support you. I'll buy the book. You don't have to give me any of that other stuff.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll buy the digital copy because I want to read it, right? And then I'll just throw like an additional, like maybe $10 because that's what you would have had for the book. Don't send me the book. Don't save your shipping. Because I've done campaigns. Sam knows shipping is expensive, bro. Like shipping these things are no joke. But I want to read the book. Now, if I see you at a show, I may go pick up the book at a show and get it signed right then and there. I think that's where I'm at with that kind of stuff. But I love the fact that people are supporting and they do want to get the book in their hands, which is awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I've had more digital than I expected.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing because I'm hoping that it's new folks that are maybe they're not, hey, I would, it gives me a reason to check it out. It's a low price point. Let me check it out. Let me support it. And I know for some folks, it's different things. It's like, man, I've got long boxes, it's like, my wife's just kind of like, so how many more of these are going to get?
A lot of space. Yeah, man. Hopefully it's those young bloods. You know what I'm saying? The young bloods buying the books. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm hoping, man. That's what I'm hoping, man. That's what we want. I mean, because like the thing is, people are like, oh, these young kids, they're not into comics. I'll tell you, like these kids, they do read. They're reading a lot of manga. So I've been trying to crack the code with my son. They like having the collected editions. You know what I mean?
Omnibus,
Yeah, they love the omnibus and they just want to have fun in the book. And it's just like, that's why I've been trying to get my son into more of the indie books. I'm like, look, man, these people are just writing books for the love of writing books. They're not trying to shove anything else down your throat.
Right.
They're just trying to tell a story and have fun with the story. Because even my son was just kind of like, this is see-through, Dad. Because like I would take him to the comic shop. He's like, this is whack. Why is this hero, trying to pawn this off on me? I'm not having it. And I'm just like,
yeah, different. And it's
I'm
funny
like, it
because
wasn't always like that.
Yeah, and you think about it. I mean, it's different. It's black and white, and it's just big splashy pages, and it's a different generation from where we grew up. But I think what the difference for us is the ease of getting it out there with the crowdfunding, with podcasting, with social media. You're reaching a lot more people than you would have back in the days.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, I'm sure you guys are seeing it too. That's a real trip is the international reach.
Yeah.
So that changes the game. I mean, and you want to talk about shipping being nuts. You know, it's like, you know, it's more expensive to ship the book than the book itself. You know, you're sending stuff to Australia.
Yeah.
You're sending stuff to the UK. And there's a good amount. I was surprised. I mean, there's a good amount of readership out there.
Yeah.
You know, so then it becomes, well, man, you know, I want to price this in a way that works for folks, but at the same time, I don't want to eat it.
Right.
You know, I can't. you know,
Right.
you know.
No,
Absolutely.
It's true, man. It's true. But John, so Black Tiger Hidden Dragon is on demand right now on Indiegogo. What are the plans for Black Tiger Hidden Dragon? What are your plans for your future books? So what's going on? Tell us a little bit about the future of your project.
So with Black Tiger, the first story arc was Legacy of Fury. So all 6 of those issues have been put into one graphic novel. Hidden Dragon picks up right after it. And it's basically the first 3 issues of that new series, what makes up this graphic novel. And there is another graphic novel that's following it to conclude the story. And the art is all, for those 3 issues, the art is all but 2 or 3 pages complete. The pencils and inks are all but 2 or 3 pages complete. We still need to color probably 2/3 of that, and none of it's been lettered. But like the production for that is down the road, you know, so that was already scripted. So the plan is, you know, get this book into people's hands. The next campaign will be the Magna Posse one, and both of those books are already completed. They're both basically 3-issue kind of omnibuses. Magna is the second 3 issues in that story arc, so you can do a catch me up, get the first and the second, and get the full story arc. And the Posse is the very first of that story arc. And then next, like I was saying, next I'll do the second story arc in this Black Tiger campaign. I'm also going to include, unless like doing a double campaign actually bombs, I'm going to include a story arc called The Orphans, which is another 3-issue one that's completed. So right now that's kind of where we're at. And then after we get those story arcs out, we'll probably, I'm looking at this from a couple of different perspectives. I was like, you know, I would love to, if I have these story arcs going, and if people are enjoying all the different stories, I'd almost like to do it almost like anthology style, or like old school World's Finest, you know, where I have one book that I can put out on a periodic basis that moves the stories forward for all 4 of these different books.
Right.
You know, so I don't know. I'm throwing around ideas. I don't know if they're good ideas. I still got some time before I'd actually have to execute on those, because I have a couple more campaigns before, you know, I would get to that point. But my whole point is I want to be able to keep these storylines going. As long as people enjoy them, I want to keep all 4 of these story arcs moving forward. And I have plans. I mean, I've got a lot of material that I want to write for the 4, and I want to kind of weave them in and out. I want to integrate them in some places and just have fun with the world building.
Awesome, boy. And you can get a lot of these books on your beyondtimecomics.com website, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Yes,
that's
sir.
awesome, brother. That's awesome. Now, those campaigns that the future campaigns, that's all going to be Indiegogo, or are you going to split those? I mean, I know you're doing the dual where you
I
split
don't
them
know
up.
yet.
You're not sure.
You know, I like the Indiegogo platform because I've built a followership there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can port the followership over to Kickstarter.
Right.
So I need to keep that going. But honestly, I feel like I kind of need to start building the Kickstarter followership again. So like, yeah, I just got to gird myself and figure out how I'm gonna get both of those going. You know, because I mean, I have people that enjoyed Black Tiger from Kickstarter, but they're not going to back it on Indiegogo.
Interesting. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. There is. I think there are fan base like me. I'm a Kickstarter dude, right? Like I like Kickstarter. Scroll through that thing, boom, order. Not so much Indiegogo, but you know, I guess it depends really on the campaign. But you know, I'll tell you this, John. The minute you decide, whatever you decide, you're gonna have to hit us up, because you're gonna have to come back and you have to pimp that stuff right on our show. Let people know where to get it, and we're gonna do it like that. You know what I'm saying? It's been great, dude. This has been great. I mean, the time has flown. We usually do by half hour. We're like in an hour already.
Yeah.
And we haven't even talked too much about the books, which is why I want to have you back so we can break down each individual title and we can talk about the mind of John Hervey over here.
That would be
Yes.
dope. I'd appreciate that. I'm probably going to go live with Magna and the Posse in maybe November.
All right.
The October-November timeframe.
You know what's up. We're going to follow each other. Now, what are your social networks, social media? How can they find you?
You can find me at Beyond Time Inc., Beyond Time Inc. Find me there on Instagram and Twitter. I'm old school on the Facebook. I'm Beyond Time Comics. And also on YouTube, you can find Beyond Time Inc. Check it out. I don't have a ton of stuff there, but I've got that 10-minute animatic that we made. And I made me and my boy from SC, we made a 20-minute live-action Black Tiger short back in 2014. And it won the Spirit of Comic-Con Award. So it has Robin Shue, the original Liu Kang, in it. And it's got Angela Fong, who's a WWE diva. So have fun, check that out. It's there for you guys to watch.
You got it. You got it, brother. Thank you so much, John, for coming on. This has been a blast, bro. This has been a blast. You have to come back, and we'll talk some more, brother.
I'd love to, man. Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
you got it.
Fun.
No doubt,
You got it, buddy.
No doubt. All right, we'll talk soon, brother.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. Peace. Yes, and another great episode on Catch the Craze podcast, and that was I do this every time. I don't know. I always have that thing right on my face. And hold on, there it is. Bang, bang.
That was John Hervey. Excellent.
Funny guy.
Yo,
funny guy.
So funny.
The time flew by. It's great. It's always great to chop it up with somebody who came from the same era.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's so much to relate to, and he's speaking in a language that we understand. You know, sometimes, you know, with the youngins, they throw in these things and like, what did he just say? What did he just say?
Dude, you guys definitely have to check out beyondtimecomics.com.
Yeah.
That's his website. It's got tons of stuff. He's got a lot of books. Black Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Volume 1. It's on demand on Indiegogo right now, so go check that out. The Posse, Magna. He's got Black Tiger, Legacy of Fury, The Orphans. I mean, he's got all of the books that he was talking about. Like I said, I definitely would love to sit down and talk to him more about what each book was about. But, you know, we were just talking so much about his background and, you know, how he started that we just ran out of time. And, yeah, it was great, though. Nice to have him on the show.
Absolutely.
Big shout out to John. Thank you so much, man.
Yes, and with that, don't forget that Forbidden Book 2 launches on Kickstarter November 1st. Just a few weeks away, November 1st. And this is a bigger book, you know, so each issue gets bigger and bigger. And this one's crazy. We introduce Primat Santra, and you know, Anibal did the first 2 issues, and now we introduce a new artist into the series. And it's... If you got the first 2, you're going to love this one. It just pops off. It's going to be fun. So sign up to the newsletter to be the first ones to be on that, because we're going to make a big-ass launch party for this one. So, so thank you again for John Hervey for being on our show. If you like this episode, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe below. Share it with a friend. Help us monetize Catch the Craze podcast. And if you are looking to promote your endeavor, your book signing, your Comic-Con appearance, your panel, your whatever speaking engagement, sponsor an episode of Catch the Craze, and let's get to the audience that you're targeting.
Right.
So with that said,
don't forget to subscribe to Webtoons 377, and on Instagram, check it out at check out the Wonder Duck page at the Adventures of Wonder Duck on Instagram.
Yeah,
yes,
Wonder Duck. So with that said, I am Santa Crazy Man, bro.
And I'm George the Dreamer Medina.
And we is out.
It's just easy. It's not.
Crazy.
Acquiesce. No, I was talking about my friend Acquiesce. I meant
Say my name, right?
This is what you were thinking? Oh,
my.
He described me. He said, I'm the
What? Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze on Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.